Do not.
Actually, when I think of you and your husband, I'm like, these ones
Why
need
don't
to
you
start.
just-
These guys need to start. No, so
You know what I think the struggle, like literally, my first instinct
Sure.
was like, my guy, I, I believe in my husband so much.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
believe that TD Jake's got nothing on the guy.
come on,
His
yes, man.
potential.
Right,
TD
right.
Jake's got nothing. I mean, I'm a fan. I'm
Yeah.
a huge fan of TD Jake's.
Of course.
But I believe my husband could be. It's like the
Yeah,
TD Jakes
yeah,
or
of South
more
Africa, of
of
Africa.
of Africa
Yeah,
or even the
yeah,
world. I don't even
yeah,
limit him
yeah.
to South Africa
Amazing.
or Africa. But I mean, TD Jakes is international.
Of course.
So if I think he's
There,
of that caliber,
yeah.
so he could be a global citizen,
Yes,
a global minister even. And so when, I started seeing things for what they are
Sure,
within the
sure,
church
sure.
and, feeling like, my guy,
Come on, move.
this
dude.
this place is boxing you.
Yes, that's the
You've got
problem.
so much potential. So let's go and start our own thing, like literally. And so I went on Facebook and I
Yeah.
started this page, Misbah Family Church.
Ooh,
Is it
okay.
Misbah?
Yeah, yeah.
But it's biblical because
Yes, I know the name from the Bible. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and for me, that scripture on its own, it's a covenant, the Misbah covenant. It's
Right.
where family members separate and
Yeah.
then they make this covenant that
Yeah.
may God look after you.
Yes.
Yes, we're parting ways,
Yes,
but
but
we're
yeah.
not enemies.
Of course.
So that was my vision. And my husband's like, I'm not called to plant
Oh my
church.
God.
I'm like, what?
No, it could be a thing of just him believing in himself. It is intimidating, I'll tell you that. But
Ne-
he needs to believe in himself. He can do it.
And so when he said, that's not what I'm called
Yeah.
for, I had to bow. I'm not the head. I just support.
Let's just say we will pray for him to see things
No,
differently.
let's pray. But I'm at a point where I actually see whatever he's not saying, because my husband's not much of a talker.
I see,
He's
I
not
see, I
much
see.
of a talker. He would
Sure.
rather preach than talk.
Yeah, I see.
So and then after some time I was like, maybe I got emotional. I am a woman, so I'm going to be coming from a place of emotions like this
Sure.
doesn't feel comfortable.
Sure,
This
sure.
don't feel right. This don't
Sure.
feel that way. So I was like, okay, let's let him be. Let him be the head. He says he's not called for
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
So obviously he's called for word and sacrament in the Methodist Church.
Yeah.
And as time goes by and the challenges or the pressures of the church
Yeah.
because of my fight,
Yeah.
it's like, actually, I don't want to leave.
Really?
Yeah, actually, no, I don't want to go anyway.
I went out. This is
No.
interesting.
It's like,
Didn't think I'd hear that.
I know, right? And I mean, when they just sidelined him out of the blue for no reason, well,
Yeah.
apparently I'm the reason. It's my social media. It's my language.
It's everything.
It's everything. It's like all of me.
Yeah.
Like I'm the problem.
Yeah,
Like
gee whiz.
so, I was like, no, actually, I don't want to leave. How many times has it been said in the Methodist Church that a minister's wife is a problem? Then they'll end up divorcing.
Yeah, it
They'll
hits
end-
the
yeah,
family.
and then it's like they go for the marriage.
Can't.
And
cannot
I
do
was like, so is this always going to be the case that we leave our marriages or we
Imagine.
leave the church?
Imagine.
Kanti, whose church is this?
It's not man's church.
It's
man.
not man's
No,
church, you know?
It's God's thing.
And the institution itself, who started it? Is it any of these people that are saying leave or that are pushing us to a point where we want to run? And I've just discovered a new term, vagabond spirit.
Yes.
I know.
Someone called you a vagabond?
No, nobody
Oh,
did.
okay.
But for me, every time I'm conflicted with something, a thought or a feeling, I always want to know, what does the Bible say about it?
Yes.
You know,
yes,
at the end of the day, as a Christian, that's your manual.
Mm.
When all fails, you know, when the intelligence, when
yes.
science and
Yes.
everything else
We
don't
gotta go
make
back to
sense,
the
we
word.
just run back
Yeah,
to the word.
yeah.
And so I always run back to the word. And I said, what does the Bible say, or
yeah.
what does Christianity say
Yeah,
about jumping ship,
Yes.
about quitting or
Yes.
leaving
Yes.
stuff?
Yes.
And the vagabond spirit came to mind. I was
Interesting.
like,
Interesting.
and then I started thinking maybe that's why we've got such a high rate of divorce. It's the vagabond spirit.
It
When
worries me so
things,
much. Yeah.
yeah, when things don't work out the way we want them, we
go,
leave. When
yeah.
the going gets tough,
Yeah.
the tough gets going.
But even in the words of Jesus, there's
Yeah.
space for leaving. Jesus said, "You go to
Definitely.
a place, preach. If
Definitely.
they reject what you're saying,
Leave.
wash your hands, dust your feet with it, and leave."
Absolutely. But then there's also a thin line between that and vagabond.
Yes, yes, yes. I hear you
There's
too.
quite a thin line.
Yeah.
And trust me, I've been at a place where like, well, if the Methodist Church doesn't, is not accepting of how, sorry.
No problem.
If the Methodist Church is not accepting of who I am, and I believe we're all called.
You are.
We are all called.
we are.
Not some of us, we don't have to stand in the pulpit. I don't
yeah.
believe I'm one of those people that
Yeah.
need to stand
Yeah.
in a pulpit and preach
Yeah.
and yell
Yeah.
and
Yes.
I don't believe I need to. I'm not an intercessor either. Yes, I can pray. I
Yeah.
pray for myself, for my
Sure,
family, in my
sure.
private space, and I believe that private prayer will be seen through what
Yeah,
God does in my
yeah,
life,
yeah,
how
yeah,
He's
yeah.
blessed me, because I am
Yeah.
blessed and highly favored.
Yes.
So
yes.
I don't believe I need to go and shout and convince people of anything. For me, the best sermon that we all ought to preach is your life.
You're so right.
The,
You're
the,
so
the,
right.
even that sermon,
right.
even preachers, it's a sermon that they'll never, the most powerful sermon that they will never get to preach on a pulpit is how you live your
Yeah.
life.
Someone once said, "Preach the gospel, and if needs be, use words."
Right? If needs be.
needs
If needs be. So which means we actually don't need to.
Yes.
But
Yes.
if there's a need,
If there's a need, then say something.
then say
but your
something.
life is
But
the
your
biggest
life
sermon.
is the biggest sermon.
Come on.
And for me, if you, don't worry about what I say. I may curse and whatever on social media. Look at the woman I am. I'm a mother of 6. I have a marriage that I've been able to sustain
Yeah.
for almost 14 years.
Yeah. And this was my keenness and like why I really wanted to talk to you, because I wanted to get to the woman behind the headlines.
Right?
Because there's a woman.
Right.
There's a family
Exactly.
behind all of this. There are children. And we take what is visible on the outside. Perception, assumption as well.
Yeah.
We take that
Yeah.
and we make that up. But no, you don't really know someone until you
You
get to talk.
don't know, absolutely.
Yeah, and then
absolutely.
we inherit hatred from other people.
Right?
Because my friend hates you, so I'm gonna hate you too.
So I'm gonna hate you, and
Yeah.
you don't even know why you're hating,
Why?
but because someone else said, let's
Yes,
hate. Remember,
yes.
people will also invite others to come and hate
Allies.
with them.
They have to.
Allies, absolutely. And for me, even that's a message on its own. It's like, if I'm such a horrible person, or some have even diagnosed me of all sorts of mental illnesses, some
Social
of
media
them,
doctors.
social media doctors, and I'm like, so if you really believe I'm a psycho,
Oh, come on.
would you go to a mental health institution and entertain someone who's not okay upstairs?
yeah.
Would you even argue with them?
Interesting,
Right?
interesting,
I
yeah.
mean, I for one, I'm so busy with my own life. I wouldn't go to a mental institution unless that was my ministry to
Sure.
actually go and,
Sure.
preach
Yeah.
to the mentally ill. But that's not my calling. So I wouldn't go there unless I was admitted myself.
Ooh, I hear you,
Right?
I hear
And
you.
then that's it. So if you believe I'm a mental case and you are stooping to my level and arguing
yes,
with me,
yes.
what does that say about
About
you?
About you.
What does that actually say about you? So
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of things have been said about me
lot.
and my family, and
And that's
sometimes
hurtful. That there's hurt.
Yeah.
Full. Even if you are a strong person.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a strong person. My family is strong, but
Yeah.
the things that get to be said, man.
But you know what? In all this, I don't think I'm a strong person actually.
Oh, really?
No. No,
You're not in Bogota.
No, I'm not. I think in Bogota would have kept quiet.
Really?
Yeah, in Bogota, I find a lot of women are strong that things are said and done to them, like pastors or ministers'
Sure,
wives in
sure.
particular, the things they've been through and they keep quiet about, I'm like, yes, see, that takes some
I
strength.
get what you're saying. I
That
get what
takes
you're
some
saying.
strength to
Calm
keep
needs
quiet.
strength.
Because you do that to me, I'll be like, ah!
I hear you.
So I'm not
I hear
strong.
you. You'll deal with it
You know,
now.
I will deal with it now. I will throw my toys out the cot like
Come on,
now because
come
I
on.
don't have that strength to
Gee
keep
whiz.
quiet and take the pain like a man.
Ooh.
No.
No, you feel like you got a voice out.
I've
You
got
gotta
to say
voice-
something.
Yeah.
In Xhosa we say usana lungakhaliyo lufele
Yes, lufele
embelekweni.
embelekweni, yeah.
And I'm like, no, andizofela embelekweni
No,
njana.
no.
If it's painful, I'm like,
Yeah,
ouch,
yeah,
now, whatever.
yeah.
So I don't think I'm a strong person. However, this has made me a stronger person. Like, all the challenges, the things, I mean, there are times I read about me and I'm like, geez, what did I do next? Like, I'm like, wow, what a good storyteller. What did I do next? It's like I'm reading about a story character in some book and...
Like as if it's someone else.
No, it's definitely
you know?
not because there's so many lies that have been said about me. I'm like, okay, I've understood that they're not talking about me.
Yeah.
They are talking about this character they're trying to portray
Yeah.
to people so that they
Absolutely.
can hate
Absolutely.
with them.
Yes.
So I understand that. Emotional intelligence
It has
comes
taken
to
a
play.
lot then, though, to develop that emotional intelligence. Because
Yeah.
you said naturally your personality is like, let's go to the streets, let's deal with
Right,
it.
right. That's me. But for me, it's like let's
Yes.
take it to the streets. And so, like in this whole saga, like the things that have been said about me, like, geez, and I've been intrigued. There's a fake account, the famous, Rati account. I've been like,
I didn't know that. Gee.
yeah, there's a fake account that has said, I mean, my kids are not my husband's kids. There's
That's low.
very low. I mean, I think in some of the stories I've even slept with the dog. I've slept with my dad. It's crazy, I know. And I'm like, no, but the way this person writes has had a lot of people believing that, shame, she's been through so much. Shame, her marriage is... there are people who pity, and there are some that are like, geez, she acts all holier than thou, Gandhi. And there are some that are so eager to believe whatever negative is said about me.
No way.
And I've come to realize that this is a spiritual warfare. And if I think I'm going to take to the streets as usual, physically,
it's not going to work this
I'm
time.
going to lose.
Wow.
I'm
I
going
didn't get
to
to that
lose.
realization. Welcome, by the way.
I know.
Welcome. Okay, you just eavesdropping on us chatting. My name is Nandipha Mlombi. I'm with Nandipha Mlombi.
Hi, guys.
Welcome to the episode. Very unusual way of starting, but listen,
Right?
just sit around and just move with the
And I
flow.
just-
Subscribe while you're at it. Thank you very much.
Yes, please. So, I think, God, we are humans becoming, not even human beings.
Yeah.
We are humans becoming.
Yeah.
And, don't think, no, at this age, I should be this person,
Yes,
that person.
yes,
you are not yours.
Yeah.
God created
Yes,
you. You understand? And there's a reason why you never signed a consent form as to when would you like to be born? Would you like to be female?
No,
would you like
no,
to be
no,
male? Would you like to be black? Would you like to be white?
Never.
Tall, short? None of us had that opportunity or were asked about, would you even like to be born? Right?
Do you even want to go there?
Do you even want to go? Do you want to be on earth?
Yeah.
So none of it was asked of you, and clearly it's not about you. Clearly it is not about you. Because if it was about you, you'd at least know when you're going to die and how you're going to die. We don't even know that.
That's big.
Right?
Yeah, that's big.
We like none. We know none of that. We're not asked about it. So since you're here and you didn't ask to be here, how would you like to leave? Would you like a jet out of here? Would you like to ski out? None of that is asked of you.
There's so
You
much
don't-
out of our control.
There's so
no
much
matter
out of
how
our-
much we want to control
Right,
things. Yeah.
right. And so for me, I've come to as I get older and, have kids of my own, I mean, I realize we have no control over nothing because none of it was ever about us. We are here because God wanted us to be here
yes.
for His purpose,
Yes,
not
yes,
ours.
yes.
And we'll always be out here, what about me? What about my happiness?
Yeah.
But who cares?
How do those conversations go with your kids when they're seeing a lot of it as well, and social media and phones are have made that have removed whatever fences we build around our walls. These high walls we have around our houses.
Absolutely.
Internet just says I'm gonna come
just
through,
crush them,
bring the world here
right
to you, and of course as a mother, it must break you at some time, break your heart, or rather, oh, my kids are going through this, they're hearing this, they don't deserve this. But when you talk, how have you managed to help them?
I think also, raising kids will raise you.
Yes.
Anyone who doesn't have a child, I don't even bother, arguing with them. They know nothing. Wait until you raise another human being.
Someone looks at you and they start having opinions about your parenting.
Right?
Why like, do you have a child?
Right? So for me, as long as you have not, firstly, co-created a human being and raised a human being, then we cannot talk. It's a mismatch. I cannot get into a ring with you if you don't understand, bringing a human being into earth and then raising that human being.
It's another story.
It's another story. And for me, and I'm glad you're a father yourself. Don't you think, look at how similar our relationship with God is to your relationship with your son.
That is right. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
God is our Father. Right? And sometimes He will show you exactly how He feels through your kids.
Yes.
So when my kids hurt because of whatever's being said on social media, I'm like, God must be hurting when somebody else is, or when I hurt somebody else. God feels exactly the same way.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
So in a way, God is teaching me, like through parenting, He's showing me what I put Him through as a parent. So sometimes I've got to be like, geez.
Yeah.
So this is what I sound like when my 2-year-old is throwing tantrums. Are these the tantrums I throw to God?
Where we forget everything He's told us.
We
panicking,
start panicking.
And we're emotional,
Absolutely. So parenting has taught me we have nothing in our control.
Oof. That's big.
Nothing in our control. My parents have no control over me. I can't imagine what they go through when they see the stuff that's written about
that's
me.
the other aspect of
not
just your
not just
family,
my
the
kids,
Mlombi family, but you've got a family where you come from.
Where I come from, and then there's a family that has with my husband, like our poor son. What did he get himself into? So there's, and I have no control over all these people, like zero. Not even my own children. I can't control how they take whatever's happening. All I can say is, well, you know the truth. You live in this household. You know what's right. You know. So, and also I always say, even in the worst case scenarios, because a friend of mine, she asked me, so aren't you afraid that, the people are saying the twins are not your husband's children? Like, I'm like, but here's the beauty of it all. We live in times where everyone can go get DNA.
Oh, you can.
If he feels maybe people are onto something,
then let's sort it out.
Go get a DNA.
Let's sort it out.
If they feel like, what if this is not our dad? Go get DNA. So there's a solution for everybody. So I'm not gonna lose sleep over. I know the truth.
Yes.
I know the truth, and that's what matters. I know it, God knows it. So if you feel you need proof, if it concerns you personally, go get the proof. I'm open to anything. I know the truth. God knows the truth.
And if you manage to have good conversations with the extended family about this, or how do they deal with it as well?
So my parents, I always tell them, stay out of my social media. Don't answer nothing. Don't comment. Don't. And I would find my mom 1-2 times. She feels compelled to go defend. She wants to go defend. So I blocked her.
Oh my goodness, shame.
So I blocked her, and the reason
she take stuff to heart?
Yes, she does. So I blocked her, and the reason I blocked her is to protect her from, for me, I can take it. I know that this is a spiritual warfare. This is a spiritual warfare. Remember, the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy.
Yes.
And I see his tactics of coming to destroy my marriage and ultimately destroy my children's destinies. Because remember, if my marriage is destroyed, there's 6 destinies that are affected. You understand?
Jeez.
And so I just quickly saw it for what it is, a spiritual warfare, and I fight it spiritually.
That's interesting. And you have a husband who's got a different personality than you as well, who deals with things differently.
He's a total
do you all butt heads about things?
Definitely. I would be lying if I said we don't butt heads, because the one thing we've butted heads for the longest time is social media. He's been like, stop talking about the church and social media. And my question is always, where should I talk about it? Where should I talk about the issues that are actually burning issues within the church? Because they say there are, we have our spaces where to talk about
forums and
structures. But the structures have failed us over and over. So where should I talk? Should I suffer in silence like everybody else? Sorry, I'm not that strong.
Man.
I'm not that strong.
It's part of our problem in the church. We don't like talking. We're like we become secret societies. And then our people are dying, families are dying, individuals, ministers are dying because we want to portray perfection, but we're not perfect. The church is a mess, and that's one of the reasons why this podcast exists, so we can talk about these things, right?
Interesting name.
Yeah. The name got me to trouble a bit with Abazalwane, but I think they're getting it now.
Definitely. And you know what? For me, I looked at the name like, that's definitely a platform I would want to go.
Yes.
Speak at, you know. So for me, I've been observing. I mean, I became Mamfundisi. When did my husband answer the call? We went to seminary 2012.
Okay. Is your church the type of church where both husband and wife must go to seminary?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's not. Like I've seen many ministers going to seminary while the wives, continue. But my ministry is family. I'm big on family. Wow. I am big on marriage.
Wow.
For me, that's where I feel called. That's where God, and that's what the enemy is attacking.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So imagine if I were to divorce, not only my marriage would go down. There are lots of marriages that have been hanging by a thread because they're like, if Nandi and Zole can do it, then we can do it. I mean, the humiliation and the lies have been spread publicly. Imagine,
the
like,
pressure that you guys are under.
So many people watching and like waiting. It would make sense. Absolutely. Others are waiting to celebrate. So and others are like, yes, if these two don't pull through, then who are we?
Yeah.
Because remember, if ministers and pastors are divorcing, I'm not saying that they have their reasons. Sure. Everyone has their reasons. I cannot judge. But every time I find that when pastors and leaders in the church divorce, it just opens kind of divorce with the congregants. Because remember, you as a pastor are the one who stands in and make people vow till death do them apart. But then when the going gets tough on your side,
come on this side,
you divorce. And I always hopefully I'll have a conversation with a divorced pastor or someone one day and say,
I'm a divorced pastor. You can talk to me.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
We can talk a lot.
So for me, it's when you then go and marry a couple and make them vow till death do us apart. What goes through your mind? Or do you not even think about it?
That was one of the most difficult things about me going through divorce, right? It hit me so hard, exactly what you're raising, right? So while I was married, I was even doing marriage seminars and events, speaking here and there, even on radio. I would do. I had a relationship slot somewhere. On a Christian radio station for like 7 years or so.
All right.
So I was not just a married pastor, but I was a huge advocate for marriage.
Wow.
I still believe in marriage right now. I still believe in family strongly. And one of the hard things then about going through my divorce was like, so how could you decimate the very institution that you love so much? Yet, and it caused a lot of internal struggle with me.
Within
and
yourself.
I felt unworthy. I felt hypocritical. I felt all those things. But now after that, and I had to heal from that aspect. Can I even ever stand up boldly again and advocate for marriage? And I had to learn, number one, about the grace of God, that He has got grace over my life.
Yeah.
It was never about my performance.
Yeah.
The work I did before being married was never my qualification for being a pastor and talking to relationship. It was purely the grace of God. Now, I can't use my circumstances to disqualify myself.
Wow.
Even when it comes to marrying other people, that covenant has nothing to do with me.
You.
I'm being a minister and a channel that God is using to facilitate a covenant they're making together with God. And God wants to still use me, even in my mess. Even now as a divorced pastor, I now can talk actually more powerfully to marriages and divorce.
You've been
because I can tell you.
You've been on both ends.
Yeah, I can tell you, don't mess up here, don't do this.
Okay.
And before I got to how I'm saying, it was hard. I felt unworthy. I can't touch that. How are people ever going to listen to me on that? But I had to heal. I had to heal, and yeah.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Because I've been like, I would love to have this conversation because, we don't know. I think after the attacks on my own marriage, I was like, geez, never judge divorced people. You don't know what they went through to get to that.
Yes.
To that point.
You know what's happening behind people's closed
doors.
You
do not know what's happening.
Yeah. And the thing is, when you are going through a marriage problem, it's even hard to explain to someone else or make them understand what I'm going through.
Right.
Hopefully, no one gets to the place of divorce. But even your reasons for divorcing, to someone else, they can say, man, come on, really? This? You want to divorce for that? But you don't know what we are going through. These things are hard to explain.
Absolutely.
And so going through marriage trouble does humble us.
Yeah, definitely. I've definitely been humbled. I mean, for the longest time, I've stood on a high pedestal. Yes. Like, how dare you? I've always held my nose up high. How dare you say I'm married and happily so? I mean, I believe our marriage has been on honeymoon, for over a decade. And then until some people got really crafty, we are dealing with this marriage, we are coming for it with everything, and
And it's unfortunate it's in the church as well.
It's in the church. It's definitely church people that are, and I mean, I've had, we've literally had bishops tell my husband, like, you know what, this girl is costing you your ministry.
That's painful.
And as a person, you sit and do introspection, and I was like, maybe I should let him go. You know what they say, if you love something, let it go. But then I was like, hold on now, this is the devil at play.
Yes.
That's the devil at play. There's no such thing. You vowed for better or worse. In sickness and in health. Yep. And sometimes, guys, you need to talk about men's mental health with what you go through with your jobs.
True. We've had a number of episodes on men, but we need to have an episode where we zoom in on men's health, mental health particularly.
Mental health in particular. And, I find that many wives in this day and age, it's like when we talk about sickness, we're okay to nurse you when you have the flu. We're okay to nurse you when you have whatever. But when it comes to mental health,
It's hard.
Because remember, he's going through all of this with the church, and it's taking its toll on his mental health.
Yes.
And, for a second I thought maybe the church is doing this to him because of me. Maybe I should, step out of the marriage and let them marry him to this perfect girl that's going to take him wherever. This, this perfect woman. And I thought, hold on. This guy has been there for me through thick and thin. I mean, I've been through postnatal depression.
Yes.
How many times I'm prone to postnatal depression, like literally after every child.
Wow.
And he's been there for everyone. So now I'm going to jump ship because, some people decided they're going to meddle in our business. So I was like, nah, this is spiritual. And so that's when I thought, okay, so when they say in sickness and in health, this is it. We are in the sickness.
Yes, and that's hard.
And this sickness, unfortunately, is not going to have him laying in bed coughing and whatnot. No, he's walking around looking normal.
But you can see he's not functioning normal.
But you know he's not functioning normal. And imagine, so I can't imagine many men who have gone through divorce because the spouse could not pick up that this was not your usual sickness.
Even the behavior sometimes that we do to destroy our marriages as men can stem from mental health.
From mental health.
From not being okay. There are things that we do sometimes because we are medicating.
Right? And you ask the person, why did you do that? And like, I don't know. And
men's mental health is tough.
It's tough, And I think one day I'm really going to be very intentional about my ministry in marriage and family. For now, I am just literally taking care of my family.
Yes.
That's the priority right now. My ministry is at home.
Yes.
and making sure that everyone is healing, whoever needs to heal, restore whatever needs to be restored before I can actually say, no, I'm going to try and help other people out there.
And I think this is your preparation and training for what you got to do to the world.
Right.
I think God is taking you through a season where you have got to feel.
I'm in the wilderness. I'm literally like in the wilderness. And
what are your coping mechanisms?
For me, speaking my truth has been the biggest. Like
I get you so well.
For me, it's just been speaking my truth, living my truth. Yes. That's how I cope. So sometimes I may not go on social media and speak my truth. I'll go and crack a joke about something else, and people will have their opinions about whatever I'm writing, and I'll actually forget about my problems because now we focus on whatever hogwash I've posted on. It kind of keeps my head in a better space, because I think it's also very easy to be so caught up in your problems that you could slip into a depression. And so for me, going on social media and making other people laugh, I will write a joke and then we laugh about it, and then they'll comment.
I'm like you a lot. I was telling someone last week, because I went through a period I was not okay now recently. Like I crashed, I burned out. And I was saying to them, and they're like, but on social media, you were okay, you were there, you were the guy.
Right.
And I'm like, guys, those of us who are most talkative on social media and funny, the funnier we are, the more talkative we are, is when that's when Popo has hit the fan. Yes. I said, guys.
That's when Popo has hit the fan.
It's like I heard someone say that, when they're not okay, they look beautiful. I'm like, when I'm not okay, I look like trash. I'm so crusty. I don't care how.
Right. You go out. It's therapeutic. I will literally I will go ahead, take a shower. Yeah. I will grab my makeup bag and I will go put makeup, and I'm going nowhere.
Yes.
I have no desire to go anywhere for that matter. But just forgetting about, so it's like also self-care can be a very therapeutic thing, apart from going on social media. Sure. But self-care is definitely a thing. Yes. I'll go for a walk. Lovely. I'll go play with the kids. I'll just grab my kids and because some days I'm like, I don't even want to take a shower. I don't want to.
Yes, I know.
So let alone pick up pencil and start drawing eyebrows. Like, I'm not even interested. So I'll just grab my kids, throw them in the car, we go to the park.
Yes.
Nice. And while watching them, chasing them around the park, I definitely forget. You know, you have to keep moving.
You have to do something.
You have to do something. You can't just sit and wallow up.
Even if you are married, this is your mental health. At the end of the day, even if when someone's I'm with you, I am here for you. End of the day,
right?
Crunch time.
You
are dealing with
absolutely. So sometimes I just go and like, let me go. I'd rather go chase my kids around the park than sit here and, you know, think about what people are saying, what people think of me.
Sure.
And, you know, people who have met my kids or have been in my children's space, they're always like, my goodness, I wish people on social media could see your family.
Yeah.
You have a tidy house, you have disciplined children.
Awesome.
And I'm like, I actually have a life, a real life, apart from social media.
Yeah.
We're all acting on social media.
Oh, no, it's not real life shit, guys. It's not. It's not.
We all have, you know, and people think they know us because of what they've seen or read on media or social media about us. And you're like, you don't know me.
Yeah. If I take you back a bit, like, back. When did you form a relationship with God, number one? And I also want to get into your love story a bit about how you met Baba Mlombi.
All right. So, see, for me, I grew up in a home. Skuta Bazali, who are married, who went to church. I mean, I've been baptized in the Methodist Church, grew up in church, went to Sunday school.
So all your life, you've been Methodist?
All my life. And this was routine until I was 9. Actually, it started with my grandmother. I used to go, because I lived with my grandmother, I think for about, actually the first 8 years of my life I spent at my grandmother's, my maternal, my mother's mom. And she wore these robes. My mom moved in with my mom and dad at the age of 9. My mom as well, same thing, this uniform. And we went to church, and my mom got sick when I was 9, very ill.
Sure.
Yeah. So ill that the hospital sent her home to die, basically. So I remember my siblings and I, we were praying, and I was like, I made a deal with God. I said, if you save her.
And God was just so faithful.
I said, if you spare my mom's life, I promise I will never not live for you or live in your purpose. This is 9-year-old.
Wow.
So at 9 I made a deal with God. I said, spare my mom's life, and I will dedicate mine to you. And it's been like that.
And it turned around.
Can I have some tissues? Yes. I did not plan this one.
Sorry.
What?
That's one of my problems. I need to learn
to cry. Is it? Why do you need to learn to cry? Have church hurt you so much that you became numb?
A lot of things. Church included. And I just get numb. And sometimes, and it's not that I'm numb, hey? I feel. But letting
You've become cynical.
Maybe.
Yes, you have.
Like releasing.
Yeah, I get you. Why?
I wish I had an answer.
But you know what? I also blame a psychiatrist.
I was about to say I need to talk to my therapist about it.
No, because I feel like, this thing of wanting to medicate people's feelings, that's not on. You're a human being. You're meant to feel.
I get you.
You're supposed to feel. Yeah. Even Jesus wept.
True.
So, and we suppress these feelings. If you're too happy, I can't go off. Yeah. If you're sad, you're
Something's
depressed.
Wrong. Yeah.
If you're angry, you have anger issues.
Sure.
No, I'm feeling.
Feel it.
I'm feeling.
And I'm an advocate for feeling and being in the
Feel
moment.
what you're feeling.
And one thing that makes me still an advocate for therapy and all of that is that, yes, you can feel and be in it.
Yeah.
But it gets to a point where it interferes with your life, productivity, and being there for your children, your wife, etc. Then some kind of intervention can be used. But don't prevent a person
Absolutely.
From feeling and being in touch.
Because, you know, I think for me as well, the one time I think I don't know which child I had just had, and I was going through postnatal depression, something we also don't talk about, you know. And so I was given antidepressants. I remember the first time I ever took an antidepressant, my husband was like, nah.
He didn't like it for you?
He did not like it for me. And he was like, I don't know who this person is.
Oh, it affected you. You know?
I had no emotion. Like, I was just this straight line. You know, you could say crack the funniest joke. I'd be like, and you'd be like, numb. Numb. You feel nothing.
Yeah, I get you.
And for me, fortunately for him, I was like, I'm not sure of this woman. This is not the girl I married. This is not what I fell in love for. And
sure. Take me still to your mom's story.
Yeah.
And how it turned around. Yeah.
So anyway, and that happened. My mom, she became better. She was healthy and still is healthy as a fiddle.
Do you remember how you felt when that turnaround happened?
No, I didn't even think about it. I just, and at that time, so she has always had stopped going to church because of health issues. And then it became a thing. Like, okay, we were used to not going to church, right? You know, now, because I was home helping my dad take care of my mom. Then eventually a lady from next door said, you must come visit my church. It was AFM. So we went to church, and I was like, oh, okay. It was different from the Methodist.
Definitely.
Different from the Methodist. And also it wasn't the black church that we were used to going to.
I see.
I mean, it was a colored church.
Sorry, which town is this that you are from?
This is in Durban, in Wentworth.
Wait a minute. Are you from Durban?
Yes.
No.
Yes, from Wentworth.
I thought Eastern Cape.
Well, originally my parents are from Eastern Cape, and I've lived there with my grandmother in
which
Lusikisiki. Yeah, Mampondweni.
So you actually grew up in Durban?
I grew up,
fascinating.
Spent my early childhood in Mampondweni, Lusikisiki, and then went to Durban.
Fascinating.
And
Interesting. Sorry, continue.
Right. So then I went to this church, visited AFM, and I actually liked it. And then there was this thing they used to do. They would say, bring a fish and then you get a chocolate. So the following Sunday, there was this thing that you bring a fish and you get a chocolate. So now I needed to go and scout another person that I was going to bring to church with. So I had two siblings that were staying with us.
Right.
And I was like, I'm going to bring one. And then the next time I'm going to bring the other
sibling.
One. More chocolate. Yes. So the following week, I was like, okay, I'm taking my sister with.
How many siblings in total?
So there's three of us within the marriage.
Right.
You know, our families are complicated.
Okay, yes, they are.
Between my mom and dad, I'm the firstborn. There's three of us.
Right, okay.
So I took my sister, and I was like, okay, the following week, my sister, she can take my brother, you know. So anyway, we went there, and I loved it. Joined, you know, the church Sunday school, and did the activities and whatnot. And I absolutely loved it. And, you know, growing up, I felt I'm called to something. There's definitely...
I know when the thing hits you.
There's something, I can't explain it, but I'm called for something. Anyway, I just brushed it off, you know. And as a teen, I just finished grade 7. I was like overweight. So I got to high school and I was teased about being overweight. Man. Actually, I was teased in primary school, but it never really bothered me, you know. And then in high school, now you're dealing with teenagers and like kids can be really mean. They were so mean. So I was teased, and so I decided to start jogging. So I'd wake up every day in the morning before school. I'd go for a run. And every time I went for a run, I would see there was this house, and there would be nuns praying in the early a.m. because I'd go around 5 a.m. And there were nuns I would see nuns, and I just loved how they were dressed.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, maybe that's my calling. I'm called to be a
nun.
nun.
Which takes you out of Methodist now.
Right,
to the
which
Catholic.
further takes me. And then I was like, so every morning I would see these nuns, and even at the shops, and I would see them dressed in, they look so holy and, so close to Jesus. I don't know. I had this perception that like they were almost perfect, So I thought, but anyway, brush that off. Like, I just started high school. Let me, navigate this high school
just live
thing.
life a bit.
Live life a bit. So I just joined drum majorettes and I was a drummie, which was also very uniformed. Something similar to what I'm wearing now, the Busby. Actually, this uniform reminds me of drumming.
It's close to it.
It's close
now
to
I'm thinking
it,
about it.
The whole military look with the Busby.
Yes.
So, and so I forgot about the whole nun thing. So 2005, I matriculated. So 2006, went to PE to study political science.
Interesting.
Very interesting. I'm like, political science, go, what were you thinking? But anyway, and I get them like, okay, so now I'm away from the parents. I still need to, maintain my spiritual life, go to church. You know what, maybe right about now is the time to pursue that calling of mine of being a nun. Let me go for it, And so I went out one day, straight from varsity. I was like, okay, I had one class that day.
Sure.
And it ended around 11. It was a morning class. 11, I was done. So headed to a Catholic church in Central, PE Central. Okay. So I get there and there's these high walls. Like the gate is so high. It's a wooden, huge...
Fortified.
Right? And so I'm thinking, okay, there's no security. There's no one. Who am I going to speak to, So I decided, okay, let me go around. There might be another gate on the other side of the street and, So I walk around. And as I just turned the corner, it was another house on another street. Walked up, there was the Methodist Church. I was like, you know what, to hell with it.
I'm back here again.
Back to where I started. So I just went into the Methodist Church and I was like, you know what? This is what I know anyway. My foundations are here.
Yes.
Went to the Methodist Church. I was like, okay. I get there and in the foyer, there was this young man busy with papers. He was obviously working there. Yes. So I'm like, Guy Puti, I want to join the church. This is me now giving up on my calling, on my nun calling.
Yes.
So this guy's like, okay, go speak to the main man or the pastor of that church. Because
is it hard to join the Methodist Church? Is it a lot of admin?
It's a lot of admin. Jeez. They make you jump hoops.
Oh my goodness.
Literally.
That's interesting.
Like for you to be recognized,
to be
because
a member
official. Who's official and recognized as a member.
But you can attend on Sundays.
You can attend, anyone can just walk in, but to be a recognized and honorable member.
Is that where they call you Indotana? Or
no.
Not even.
That's another level that you must jump hoops for. So and then there's this minister going to the sanctuary and there's like, no, I would like, how do I go about joining here? And they're like, no, go back to the guy who helped you there. I go back to this guy, like, no, go back to him. I was like, this young man is annoying. Long story short, that young man is now my husband.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're kidding me.
I kid you not. I kid you not.
He almost lost a wife that day, that guy.
Literally,
Come on.
He annoyed me to a point I was like, he's an idiot.
This is fascinating.
Right?
What?
So, and so I met my husband while I was on a quest to pursue my calling of being a nun. And the calling was to be umamfundisi. You know?
You know what? You guys are meant to be together.
Absolutely.
There's no way.
Only God could have orchestrated that.
Way.
Like, literally. And so, And then, so how many years now? So in December, we'll be married for 14 years.
Yeah.
So it's...
And he was he a minister at the time?
No, at the time he was actually a youth pastor.
Okay,
He was a youth pastor.
He was on his way to be.
He was. Well, he's always. I mean, church is all he knows.
Sure.
Which is why I believe that this whole situation with the church really cut deep.
I get you.
It
Is he from PE originally?
No, he's from Fort Beaufort.
Before, I've heard about Beaufort. But in the
and you know what? I must defend my in-law city.
Yes.
Indawo Mageza, because that's where one of the biggest mental institutions is.
That's why they call it
yes.
that. I see.
Not that the people there are crazy.
I get
they
you.
just host Amageza from different places.
They're doing the nation a favor.
Exactly. They are doing the Lord's work. Thank you. Instead of insulting them, be grateful that they take you guys in when you're not okay.
Amazing.
They will host you.
Sure. And when did he now accept the calling to minister? Because I mean, now that affected you. Now it was about Mfundisi manje.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever thought. Well, you did think you'd be a nun, but
I don't think I'd be a nun.
Mfundisi, did you ever see yourself there?
No, not even. Not even. And come to think of it, even within I've never recognized Mfundisi. We only know Mfundisi and didn't even think there was Mfundisi. Yeah. Well, growing up, I've never really paid attention or even acknowledged their existence in their families. To me, it was just Mfundisi, and then he's that guy we respect and scared of. We shy away from. So it's something that never even crossed my mind if I would want to or not to. It's Mfundisi has never been a concept that has been in my face. You understand?
Yes.
So. Because before we even started dating, we were just friends.
Sure.
I even, advise young people, don't jump into dating. I don't know whether I've been a lazy person to date. Well, I was a late bloomer, and also being a late bloomer is also what inspired me to think I'm called to be a nun, because I just felt my peers were way ahead of me in everything. They were doing the most. They were doing the most. I thought, okay, maybe let me go be a nun.
Yes.
I would be more accepted there. Yes. People would be more understanding.
I can relate to that because it's when I realized it was God's way of preserving me from certain things.
Right.
At the time, it felt, I felt like a nerd. I felt like a reject. But I realized God was preserving me.
Absolutely.
Some of these people went through a lot. And now that we are in our 30s together, I'm like, I don't want to look like you.
Right. I'm
glad I don't
you
look
are now paying the price of the good old days.
Yes.
You are now paying the price of the good old days.
I paid earlier.
Absolutely.
By delaying certain gratification.
Absolutely. And I remember a Sunday school teacher, I'll never forget, at AFM. There was this girl, she wore earrings they were like tiny hoops.
Sure.
And the lecture that Sunday school gave to that little girl, you're wearing these now. What's going to happen when you're bored with them? When you're bored with these earrings, you're going to want to move to something else. What are you going to... And then eventually you're going to be bored with whatever. And you're going to be experimenting with the next thing. And the lesson I got from there is, you know what? Embrace each stage. When you're a child, I always say to my daughter, my 14-year-old, enjoy being a child.
Sure.
Just enjoy being a child. Sure. I don't allow my daughters to wear extensions unless there's a photo shoot or something or whatever. Even makeup, photo shoot or no photo shoot, you are not going to put on makeup. Sure. You're a child. Sure. Be a child. Look like a child. Because you start making your child look like a woman, she's going to attract men.
Act like a woman. And also
act like a woman. Right? Yeah. So for me, it's like, let children be. Let them embrace whatever stage.
Yeah. Do you think you're conservative? As a person, as a parent, are you?
I'm very conservative as a parent.
Nice.
I mean, my kids, even if we go to a restaurant, they will not eat from an adult's menu. You will have the kiddies' meal.
Oh,
so my kids are always looking forward to the next.
Yes.
My daughter was like, she couldn't wait to turn 13 so she can actually order proper burger.
Stuff. Yeah. Wow,
and order proper food. I was like, you're a kid. You are going to eat from the kiddies' menu.
Yes. Is that a result of your own upbringing? Or what do you
I believe so. We parent the way we were parented.
Sure.
So I've always been raised as a child. I've
Sometimes
always been a
we
kid.
rebel from
Absolutely,
how we were
absolutely.
parented, right?
We do. But one thing I've observed is looking at our peers. Like you say, you look at the prices they're paying now because of
What they did back then?
being free or being, given that leeway to get away with stuff, So I look at those and I'm like, no, I'm glad my parents parented the way they did.
Have you heard of this concept called gentle parenting?
No.
Where you're like, it's the opposite of what you are saying. Where you kind of want to be your child's friend, even when you're scolding them or shouting at them. You gotta be gentle. Tando, don't do that.
I have been told by some of my friends that you can parent your kids without yelling. So I'm the bad cop between my husband and I. Between my husband and I, I'm the bad cop, and I'm okay with it. I constantly tell my kids, I'm not your friend.
Because yes, that's very important.
I am not your friend.
Oh, huge, very important.
And I have no desire to be your friend.
Yes.
Because your friend has to tell lies to you. Sometimes you will do something wrong and your friend will be like, it's okay, Chomi, I know this from my own experiences. My friends and I, we will nurse each other's feelings, because I know you're an adult. If you did something wrong, it's wrong.
Yes.
You don't need me to rub it in. So,
yes.
And these are kids. So I'm not your friend.
Yeah.
And I'm not even trying to audition to be a friend.
Yes, not trying. I'm the parent.
And I'm going to parent you.
Wow.
The fact that we can, you open to tell me stuff, or we can have an open conversation, because let's face it, the kids we have now, they're quite smarter than us.
They're smart.
They're raised by smartphones.
Yes.
So, sometimes you've got to be open-minded, but that doesn't mean I'm your friend.
Yes.
Just because I can lend an ear does not mean we're friends. And this thing where with a generation of parents that feel so pressured to be our kids' besties. So we let them get away with stuff as we would let our best friends get away with some stuff. But that's not your best friend. That's your kid. Yeah. They need your guidance, not your friendship. Absolutely. They've got friends at school. They got cousins. They've got neighbors. That's not your job. Stop trying to be everything.
The 14-year-old, is she the oldest of your kids?
Yes, she's the oldest.
How is that? You are raising 6 kids that are in different stages, right? Yeah. From teenagehood right until Usana.
Usana 1, who just turned 1. The beauty of it all, when you have more kids, you get to raise none of them.
Oh, I see.
So the burden is on raising the first one right.
Yes, and then
hierarchy. The hierarchy.
It's a network.
It's a network. The beauty of it all is I'm so hard on my daughter, but in a nice way. Because she'll still joke about some of the stuff I do. We'll have a fight and then maybe a week later she's like, girl, what was that about? She'll be like a week later when we're not angry about it, or it's like, what was that about? But this is what really happened. And I feel like you just jumped down my throat for no reason. Yes. But I'm like, this is what happened. Like, okay, I get you.
Beautiful. I saw the beautiful journey that you were trying to do together of entering the pageants.
Yes.
For her, Miss Teenager South Africa, right?
Yes.
You was Mrs. Africa.
Southern Africa.
And you wanted, to walk the journey together. And she challenged you to say,
she did.
I'm gonna enter if you
enter. So the thing is, I've always been a beauty queen. Like, I think my first pageant is Lalini even. I was 7 when I did my first pageant. And I've always been that little girl, that child, even like, people would give me money from very little age. Back then, people were very generous.
Wow. Yeah.
So I used to have lots of money. I always had money.
Lovely. You earned it, man. You worked for it.
People would be like, oh, she's so pretty. And Abanya mama would be like, and then they'd give me money. And so my cousin, who was a beauty queen, she'd enter the pageants, your Miss Ellerins back at the time. It was a big thing again.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, she's going to enter me into pageants. And I started that way. So I would enter pageants, and it's always been my thing. I think the last pageant I entered before Mrs. Southern Africa was Miss South Africa,
Sure.
So I said to her, Mina, I'm done with pageants. I've had my fair share.
You were there.
At least I thought I was. I said, so why don't you
go into it.
Why don't you, start entering pageants? Because I love what I did for my confidence as a person, as a girl growing up into a young woman. I love the things that I learned through pageantry. And I thought, well, I want to give my daughters that opportunity.
Well,
So I was like, why don't you enter? She said, well, it's not my thing, but I would definitely enter if you entered the Mrs. Category.
And when the organization decided that we're going to disqualify you, first of all, did they communicate to you honestly?
Okay.
And if they didn't, why do you think they actually did disqualify you? So I'm asking 3 questions in one. How did it make you feel at the end of the day?
All right. So firstly, when the fake accounts broke out with the dramas and everything, so obviously, I mean, it was so bad to a point where we've had cops at our house with the lies that were written. I've had social workers coming to take my kids and my husband away. There was a lot said. And now remember, if cops are involved, then it must be serious.
Oh, yeah.
So there's no way a brand is gonna want to associate with that, and understandably so. As an entrepreneur myself, Mrs. Southern Africa is a business to somebody. So I put myself in their shoes.
Sure.
That would I want someone who I'm trying to collaborate with? Because remember, pageants, it's a collaboration with every contestant. You are now marrying yourself to this brand that you're going to help each other grow, right? So would I want to get myself into this type of marriage? It's toxic already.
Oh, man, crazy.
Because now Mrs. Southern Africa is going to be marrying my enemies as well. You understand?
Damn.
So fortunately, they did communicate before the public announcement.
Sure, great.
That I mean, look at the situation.
Yeah. So they did have an honest
conversation.
Right. I like that.
And I appreciated that.
Good.
And however, for me, I also felt it's a bit unfair because it's not like the things that were said
were true.
I mean, my kids are still in my house. My husband is still there. If they were true, I mean,
I cannot believe the things have been cooked up.
Yeah.
In your name.
Like literally, at that time, during those 2 weeks, those have been the longest 2 weeks ever. I was even scared to leave my car in a parking lot. Maybe I'd find a dead body in my boot and they would say, I killed the person, Man. I just felt people would go to such great lengths to destroy someone.
People are evil, man.
People are evil. I even stopped wearing stuff with pockets just in case someone might walk past me and slip something into my pocket and call the cops on me. Like, it was crazy. I felt like I was living in a horror movie.
Goodness.
Yeah, for me, I did kind of say, well, I feel like the pageant organizers could have waited a bit to hear the verdict if
or investigate and realize, hey, it's not true.
It's not true. It's just propaganda.
Yeah. Get you.
But then I also thought, let me let it slide because, excuse me, I'm also not in a space to compete in a pageant.
I guess we can say the same thing about the Methodist Church and how they've taken things that they've heard about you.
Absolutely.
Untrue, and they've used it for certain decisions they've made.
Yeah.
And has the church ever been honest to say them putting your husband aside is because of you, or they've used other reasons?
So I've had a conversation with the district bishop, who's female. I thought, okay, woman to woman, let me reach out and, let's talk. What's going on?
Sure.
Let's have an honest conversation. And in our conversation, I did get the sense that I'm to blame, even though they won't come
They
out and
won't
say
say
it.
it.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
won't say,
yeah,
not in so many words, but it's like,
yeah.
yeah, but your social media, da 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 da.
Gee whiz. The Mlombi Family Foundation, is that the vehicle you're going to use for your ministry? And what is your vision for your family?
So first, let me let me start with the Mlombi Family
Sure.
Foundation. So, Mlombi Foundation is what I believe church is supposed to be.
I need to hear this.
So I believe church should be it's not just, the walls where we meet on a
Yes,
Sunday
yes,
or whatever day Bible study is,
yes, yes.
but we should meet, like, not actually, even meeting is a waste of time. We should be out there helping and, spreading love, because
Yes,
God is love.
yes.
God is love.
And being the hands of God actually
Be
in
the
people's
hands of
lives.
God.
Yes,
Go help the poor.
yes,
Go
ma'am.
go feed the poor.
Yes,
Go
ma'am.
clothe
Yes,
the naked.
yes, right,
Like,
yes,
just
right,
be out there.
right.
And this should like, it's almost 100% guaranteed to win souls.
Absolutely.
Because if you go to a homeless person and find them a home, who found them a home? Who found them a home? And
That's
they
true.
will always be loyal to you. They're gonna want to
Yes,
know, what do you do? I want to know the God you
yes,
worship,
yes. Why
right?
did you do it to me?
Why
Yeah.
did you do it? Why did you do that? You understand? So for me, Mlombi Foundation, I want to use it as a tool where we fix marriages. Fix marriages, empower families.
Yes,
Do gatherings or events that actually empower families, and make families hang out together more often,
wow.
do stuff
Yes,
together
spend time
often,
together,
spend
quality
time
time,
together,
yes.
quality time, all those things that are actually going to build strong bonds within families.
That's right.
Because remember, families are the building blocks of
Yes,
society.
yes, yes.
Often when, take any criminal of any offense, if you sat down with them and just had a heart to heart conversation, you realize it started back at home. It all boils down to that foundation. And so, as a nation, if that's the foundation, why not prevent a lot of
Yes.
things
Yeah.
through empowering?
We're not
And
investing
we're
enough
not
in the
investing
family.
enough in the family. We are not investing
Yeah.
enough in the family. And now we're pushing, separation of families. However, if no, we've got kids saying their parents are toxic.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
our generation,
Yes, yes,
we're calling our parents toxic,
yes.
and now we're leaving them alone
Sure,
to go
sure.
get old by themselves. They're struggling
Yes,
wherever.
yes.
Old people are abandoned. And they're abandoned by their kids who are very
That's
much
right.
alive. You and I, we are alive.
Yeah.
When last you spoke to them and said,
Yeah.
tell them you love them, whatever.
Yes, yes.
And so there's this culture of, ubuntu. So Mlombi Foundation for me is like, let's go back to basics. Ubuntu. If I can just treat another human being and care for another human being just like how I would want to be cared for if I was in their position. The
Sure.
same way I would, one day I'm going to get old, I'm going to raise my kids in
Sure.
such a way that they have empathy one day.
Sure.
Doesn't matter if they felt I was toxic, I was
Yes.
the worst human
Yeah,
alive,
yeah.
but Ubuntu in them will always say, but how would I want my kids to
Yes.
treat me?
Yes.
So I'm going to treat my mom, irrespective of how I feel or what I think
Right.
about her.
Right.
But ndizamenzela ubuntu, ndizamenzela inceba.
Nceba.
Yeah,
And
you understand?
that's what's
Grace.
missing, man.
Yeah, ubuntu,
Yeah.
abantu abasenanceba. So for me, I'm praying and hoping in Mlombi Foundation
Right.
restores ubuntu somehow.
Wow. That's beautiful.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's ubuntu for me.
Yeah. As we close this, and so much has been said about you, and this was not even about us giving response to those things.
Yes.
That's why I didn't even ask you about certain things.
Yeah.
I really don't care.
Yeah.
And people perceive you in a certain way as Nandipha. What is it that you would like people to know about you? If you began that answer by saying, what people really don't know about me,
Whew.
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't even want them to know it about me.
Really?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I genuinely don't want me. You know, there's this my best friend, she always says, "Yo, I wish people knew you." I'm like, I don't want people to know me.
Really?
No.
Some of your problems wouldn't exist if they knew the real
If
you.
they knew the
real
real
you,
me,
right?
my goodness. I feel like I wouldn't even have the impact I've had.
Wow.
If people knew who I am, like, yes,
Wow.
no.
So you are flipping the script on the devil. You are using
Yes,
this.
confuse the enemy. I cannot afford to have people know who I am. I cannot.
What?
At least not in this day and age.
That is not the answer I was
I
expecting.
know, but at least not now.
Very interesting.
Not now. I genuinely don't want
You
people
see
to know
this
me.
all as a platform for impact.
It's a platform for impact. I've tried to show people who I am, and I've had zero impact. I've
Wow.
tried to show people who I am.
Wow.
I've tried to be who I
Yeah,
really am,
yeah.
and it had no impact. Like zero
Wow.
impact. It's actually been useless.
That is
So,
amazing.
no, I genuinely
That's
don't want
amazing.
people to know
I
me.
get you.
I feel the people who need to know me, which is my family, my husband,
Yes.
my kids, and my very small intimate circle, they know who I am. They know who I
Yes,
am.
yes.
That's why you'll never hear them say anything on social media or comment or try to defend me or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, they'll call me, they're like, "Yo, Maria's frustrated.
Yes.
Can you just let it go?
Yes,
Like,
yes.
you know, just be you." I'm like, no, I don't want to be me. You know, right now, the work that God wants me to do at this point in time, they don't deserve to know who I am. They just don't deserve to know who
So
I
if that
am.
side comes out, it would hamper somehow the assignment that you have.
Yes, it would.
So
It would.
I like that.
It
You
would.
got an interesting way of thinking. It's beautiful. I like.
No, you know what? I think if every leader in any space, you know, the greatest leader of all times, like that has ever walked earth, is Jesus.
Jesus, yes, yes.
If you can take a page, like if whatever leadership position you're in, look at his leadership.
Yeah.
And trust me, one thing about Jesus is he could lead any group of people.
Yeah, they could.
He was like a chameleon. He will get there and see, oh, this is how they operate. Okay. He would study people and he would act accordingly.
Yes. And we'll start relating with them.
He
And
would
that,
start
and that,
relating.
That was the
He
beginning.
would speak their language.
Yes, yes,
right?
yes.
He wouldn't be like, okay, now I'm ministering to the Pharisees. I'm going to talk as I would with the Corinthians. No. He's like, I'm dealing with the Pharisees and this is what they're doing. And I believe if Jesus was
Yes.
like here physically now, like in this day and age, I believe Jesus would be like, WTF?
Yes. Possibly.
He would possibly be like, I'm dealing with this kind of people.
I was sitting with Alfie the other day, and I said to him, if Jesus was around, you might find him in Conca. Possibly.
Absolutely.
I have a feeling.
Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely.
I have a feeling.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I like one thing I've observed, you know, giving my life to Christ from a very early age. I mean, I've went through different stages. I've been a teenager, I've been a young adult, and I'm like, So I've seen my mom trying to tackle some problems using the old methods.
Yes,
They're
yes,
obviously not working.
Yes.
So you cannot be trying to minister to people using the same old methods
Yes.
that worked with those people.
Yes.
Like, I mean, Jesus would use parables of agriculture because back then
That was the main thing. Yeah.
the main thing. It was a
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
And now you want me to use that on my 14-year-old daughter who has never planted a thing and has
Yeah.
no cooking clue
Yeah.
of
Right
how
now,
the food is manufactured.
We're in the digital space now. So in our teachings and in the way we do ministry, we can't
Absolutely
ignore
we
where we are. Jesus
cannot.
couldn't ignore agriculture.
No, he couldn't.
So now we can ignore.
That was the reality at the
certain things.
time.
Yeah, yeah.
And he would go to different places. He would be talking to prostitutes because it was like that's the trade at that particular place at the time.
Beautiful.
How is he going to speak like a nun when he's amongst prostitutes?
Oh, yeah.
You understand?
Get you.
Why is he going to speak the lingo he would use with nuns, with prostitutes?
That's good,
They're not going to get him. So for me, that's what I've realized, that I'm not going to be trying to speak, you know, a top-notch English
Yes.
to when I'm trying
Yeah.
to reach to closer people
Yes.
who speak a certain language, who
Yes.
understand a
Yes.
certain,
Yes.
you know.
Because other people think you don't even know English.
Yeah, right.
funny.
It's funny. No, so and other people don't even, they think metric, like
What?
basic stuff like metric,
come
like
on, guys.
I'm not in the metric. And so ndibamba hapo nam, I'll be like,
Sorry, just
Funding government is through an efficient tax administration.
what's happening today? Inini Isona bagaits, I need to go to Isona yo. Is it? I need tickets already.
start organizing. Really.
Please.
Oh, we should do something, yeah.
You're even now. I'm stressing like yo. Summers.
Yeah, ne?
Yeah, like who
we need
has
to- yeah.
who has
We
a
need
so
to
if
see.
I'm just putting it out there, if you know anyone who
on,
might
guys, you
hook
heard
a
it,
sister-
guys.
yeah, and
Hook your sister up, please.
hook a sister up. And again,
right.
for me, I want to be in such spaces. That's
Yes.
what, remember our grandmothers or the elderly who are big on church. Bayakula, they
Yes,
dying,
yes,
guess who's left?
We must.
Grown ups right now.
We
It's
must,
us.
yeah.
And Tina, we are still going through midlife crisis and whatnot, identity crises. And our children are the next generation.
That's right, ma'am.
Yeah, youth.
That's right.
Abantu abadala.
Yes.
And what are we doing about them? So we now need to go fetch them where they are.
Yes.
Baphi, bakukonka.
Yes. And we must be with the people.
We need to be where they are.
I mean, that's a great vision.
Baguma Summer Awards.
We must be there.
We need to be there. We need to be there looking
Yeah.
like them.
Yes. Yes.
We need to be there looking like them.
must be
I
relevant.
mean, I've had, you know, I'm a 2K shocked. Like, Mamfundisi. And a nose ring.
Hey. Yeah.
Mamfundisi is a baddie. Seven baddie.
Imagine.
So, which means, in a way, like they can relate,
Yes,
and
yes.
then I'm like, it's okay.
Yes.
I'm not bothered about how you perceive me.
Yes,
The important thing, the fact that you even had the thought about like, can church be this cool? Like umamfundisi,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
And for me, it's just getting your foot into the church.
That's right. That's right.
And then what happens after that is
Whatever
between
happens.
you and God.
Man, awesome point to close it off at. It's been such a wonderful conversation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for making the time. And personally, I'm keeping your family in my prayers.
Thank you.
The devil will not win.
Never.
And whoever else is trying to use,
Amen.
he will not win. God has a purpose, and I'm so happy you know this, that there is a purpose here to pursue.
This is Phase Music.